Hey guys, how are you? So I wanted to talk about something called, I guess God wants to kiss me today with his Holy Spirit. I can't get it to go away. In photography, we call that kiss by an angel. Okay, have you ever heard of something called victim mentality? Okay, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but I'm thinking you probably have heard of this before. It's called victim mentality. Someone who likes to play the victim a lot, usually people who like to play the victim, this is usually a tactic, something that they do all the time, typically. Okay, anyway, let me just read exactly what that means. Just gonna read it so you can possibly identify maybe somebody that you know, or maybe even in yourself. I mean, I'm sure we've all been guilty at different times of maybe playing the victim. Okay. Excuse me. It says victim mentality is when a person views themselves as a victim in various situations, even when there is evidence otherwise. The signs of victim mentality include blaming others, believing others cannot be trusted, and not taking responsibility for one's own actions. Okay, so basically, if you either yourself or you know of someone who basically is, blaming others, everybody but themselves for something, or maybe an incident or something that they're dealing with, a situation or something, but they're blaming everybody but themselves. They believe others cannot be trusted. They definitely tend to believe that other people can't be trusted. And not taking responsibility for one's own actions, like whatever part they played in it, okay? Let's talk about, it says, what is victim mentality behavior? A pattern. This refers to a pattern of behavior. A pattern, like I said, usually this is something that someone does all the time. A pattern of behavior where someone consistently perceives themselves as powerless and blames external factors for their problems instead of taking responsibility for their own actions or circumstances. Core belief. Individuals with a victim mentality often hold beliefs like, I'm helpless, I can't control my own life, I'm always the victim. Okay, these are also part of the patterns of having a victim mentality, these behavioral patterns. Shifting blame. They frequently attribute their problems to others or external forces rather than taking responsibility for their own actions. Complaining and negativity. They may constantly focus on negative aspects of situations and express feelings of helplessness or despair. Passive behavior. They may avoid taking actions or making decisions, preferring to wait for others to solve their problems. That's passive behavior. Attention seeking. They may seek sympathy or validation from others by repeatedly recounting their perceived misfortunes. So, attention seeking. Yeah, usually people who play the victim, they usually love attention. So they'll seek sympathy or validation from others in their situation or for their side of the story, right? Difficulty setting boundaries. They may struggle to establish healthy boundaries in relationships, allowing others to take advantage of them. Because the setting boundaries part is the part that they're responsible for, that they could actually change to change their outcome. And that's really kind of where a lot of the core problem lies, is in the setting boundaries. They have a hard time setting boundaries, which is really their responsibility and something that is within their control. Okay. It says potential causes. Trauma or past experiences. So this is a potential cause for having a victim mentality. Trauma or past experiences. Okay. Just ask Google. Google, she will tell you everything you need to know about life, okay? Okay, it says trauma or past experiences. Past experiences, particularly trauma, can contribute to a sense of powerlessness and a victim mentality. Negative self-talk. Constant negative thoughts and beliefs about oneself can reinforce a victim mindset. Learned helplessness. Repeated exposure to situations where they feel powerless can lead individuals to believe they have no control over their lives. Impact. This is how having this type of mentality can really impact you. That's what they're going to go into now. Relationships. A victim mentality can damage relationships by creating a constant cycle of blame and negativity. Work. It can hinder career advancement and job satisfaction by preventing individuals from taking initiative and solving problems. Okay, self-esteem. It can lead to low self-esteem and a lack of confidence in one's abilities to succeed. Okay, so that's how it can impact you, okay? And how to address it. So now I'm going to go through this list of how to address it. If you feel that maybe you are guilty of playing victim, or maybe if you identify someone in your environment who plays the victim, maybe somebody at work or something like that. Okay, how to address it. Self-reflection. Encourage individuals to examine their thoughts and behaviors to identify patterns of victim mentality. Challenge negative beliefs. Help them to identify and challenge negative thoughts and beliefs about themselves and the world. Focus on strengths. Help them to recognize their strengths and past successes to build confidence and a sense of agency. I don't know how that word makes sense. It's help them to recognize their strengths and their past successes to build confidence and a sense of agency. That's actually what it says. I don't know if it was supposed to say urgency. I don't know. Okay, anyway, but focusing on your strengths. Basically, you want to focus on your strengths, okay? To recognize your strengths and help them to focus on their strengths. So if somebody says, "Oh my God, I'm so stupid, I'm so dumb, I never get this right," you as the other person, maybe if you're at work, maybe you work with them or whatever, you can say, "You know what? You may struggle over here, but over here you're really good at this right here. You make sure you shine this up nice and pretty, or you make sure you always organize it like this, or you are really good at answering those phones," or whatever the case, like whatever the strength, like basically shifting their attention from here to over here, okay? And doing that consistently for somebody, I could see where that could, especially if you're as an outside source and you recognize that in somebody and you doing that for somebody constantly, would probably trigger them into a bit of a different mindset, or at least a thought process, and could really help them. Could really, especially if you are an outside person, a workmate, or somebody who is not intimately involved with that person, I could see where that would grab a person's attention. It could really grab a person's attention and cause a mind shift. Okay? Now it says, setting goals and take action. Encourage them to set realistic goals and take steps to achieve them, fostering a sense of control and accomplishment. And then it says, seek professional help. If the victim mentality is severe or interfering with their ability to function, encourage them to seek professional help from a therapist or a counselor. Okay. Now it says, let's see. Why, I like this part. It says, why is victim mentality toxic? A victim mentality is toxic because it fosters a sense of helplessness and prevents personal growth. That's very toxic. And accountability, and can lead to resentment and difficulty in forming healthy relationships. So, erosion of agency and self-worth. Maybe agency. A group. Okay, victim mindset can lead individuals to believe that they have no control over their lives, which can erode their sense of agency and contribute to feelings of hopelessness, despair, or low self-worth. Lack of accountability. People with victim mentality often avoid taking responsibility for their actions, instead blame others for their problems. This lack of accountability can damage relationships and prevent personal growth. Difficulty in forming healthy relationships. Constant complaining and a focus on external forces can make it difficult to form healthy relationships, as others may find it draining to be around someone who is always focusing on their problems and not taking responsibility. Stifled growth and potential. A victim mentality can prevent individuals from reaching their full potential by discouraging them from taking risks, trying new things, or facing challenges. Resentment and cynicism. The constant focus on perceived injustices can lead to resentment or cynicism, making it difficult to find joy and or appreciate the positive aspects of life. Manipulation and control. That's definitely toxic. That is something I'm definitely running from that these days. In some cases, a victim mentality can be used as a form of manipulative tool to control others and gain sympathy or attention. Definitely. That is definitely on the list of toxic behaviors in relationships and narcissistic traits that I have talked about in past videos, where people will definitely play victim and use that as a form of, trying to control you. Like, you can't, like I've used this before, like, you can't go and, take this course to better your life and get a better job or whatnot, because I am sick and nobody ever offers to help me, and I need help, somebody to take me to the doctor or somebody to do this or that, and I'm always left out, and you're supposed to be the one to take care of me, and blah blah blah. Victim. They're the victim of their sickness, and they're the victim of nobody ever helping them, blah blah blah, things like that. An exaggeration. And that is definitely a form of manipulation. Okay, when people are doing that, they know what they're doing. They're trying to get you to self-sabotage, to not better yourself, to not take that course, or to not go take that job or do that thing or whatever. Okay, now I bring this up because dealing with victim mentality in a job is bad enough. Dealing with a victim mentality in a relationship is very difficult. I mean, if you're not careful and you get hooked up with the wrong one and they have a victim mentality, you'll find yourself a victim also, a victim of their victim mentality and stuck in cycles. Okay? So I'm going to read what it says. It says how to deal with a victim mentality in a relationship. Okay? I'm just straight reading it. Okay, so to navigate a relationship where one partner exhibits a victim mentality, focus on setting healthy boundaries, encouraging personal responsibilities, and offering support without enabling the behavior, while also prioritizing your own emotional well-being. So I'm going to read this again. So to navigate a relationship where one partner exhibits a victim mentality, focus on setting healthy boundaries, encouraging personal responsibilities, offering support without enabling the behavior. Like, I can look up bus routes, or I can help you download the Uber app so you can get a ride to wherever you need to go. Okay? Or whatever the case. It says while also prioritizing your own emotional well-being. Okay, here's a more detailed breakdown. It says, understanding a victim mentality. Signs. A victim mentality often involves a tendency to blame others for their problems, feeling helpless or powerless, and focusing on past grievances rather than present solutions. It says potential causes. This mindset can stem from past traumas, low self-esteem, or learned behaviors. So, for example, if the person is like, well, I am, now I'm sick or whatever, and I have whatever the case is, whatever they have. And it's all your fault because you wouldn't take me to the doctor, or you wouldn't make me a priority, or it's your fault, which is why I'm dying, laying sick in the bed now, or something. I'm exaggerating, but whatever the case is, whatever they're saying, they're making it your fault. Okay, they're blaming you. Now it says strategies for dealing with a victim mentality in a relationship. Set boundaries, clearly communicate your limits and your expectations in the relationship, and enforce them consistently. Setting boundaries is extremely important. Like in general, all across the board, setting boundaries. Encourage responsibility. Instead of trying to fix their problems, help them identify their own strengths and empower them to take their ownership of their actions and challenges. Offer support but not rescue. Be a supportive presence, but avoid enabling the victimhood by doing things for them that they can do themselves. Focus on solutions, not problems. Guide the conversation towards finding solutions and taking proactive steps to improve their situation. Remind them of their strengths. We talked about that. Acknowledge their accomplishments and remind them of their capabilities. Try to understand their perspective, but avoid getting caught in the cycle of negativity. Now, this is really good, especially if you are a parent and you are helping your child, maybe to come, maybe helping them do better at school. And maybe they're saying, oh, I have bad grades because my teacher is terrible, or she doesn't teach me nothing. My teacher doesn't show me anything, or something to that effect, okay? Or I can't read the board because I'm sitting too far back, and so I missed my homework every single day, or something like that. So it's like, okay, and you can encourage them to say, well, can you talk to your teacher and ask her if you can sit up closer to the board? Or, something like, let's see, maybe you can talk with your teacher about explaining things to you better or in a different way so that you can have better grades, different things like that. Like maybe talking to a lot of times I can see where this is something very good where you'll need to help your child or children to not be a victim of circumstances, right? Helping them find solutions, not enabling them, not going in and beating up on the teacher or whatever and saying, you better give my kid an A or something like that, Okay, and it says, let's see, maintaining your own emotional well-being. It's crucial to prioritize your own needs and boundaries, as caring for someone with a victim mentality can be emotionally draining. Bingo! That for me that's how I feel. That when I have either known people to be this way or have accidentally fallen into a relationship that the person had a victim mentality, or I see it, for me, I find it to be extremely draining. And I'm not talking about just a little bit of negativity or a little bit of pessimism, but somebody who is consistently that way, where you are always either trying to save them or rescue them or help them. They're always trauma dumping on you, whatever, and you come away feeling extremely drained. I mean, like, drained. Like, you need to go now. You have to go take care of yourself. You have to be able to fill your cup back up, right? So it's important to really kind of figure this out before you even get in a relationship, or be able to see these signs before you get too deep in something with somebody when they have a victim mentality. Okay, that was just something for you to think about for today, and see you next time. Bye.